Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the opportunity to come together to further increase our knowledge in Islamic finance, as well as today we are going to be learning about Islamic social finance. This is the fourth session, by the way. If you guys have any friends or whatsoever who are interested to learn more, they can just sign up in the sign up link, which is on screen, tinyurl.com/fmseries20. They don't have to attend all the sessions. So we got 2 more sessions. If they wish to learn more, they can just drop by and then and then join in for the session as well. So we would also like to shout out our Instagram as well at SMU IBFS, as well as FASC_SG. So you can follow us over there as well for more updates regarding the series, and if we actually have further events in the future that we will host. So without wasting any time, I'll just go straight to the speaker's profile today. So today we have Dr. Shamsiah Abdul Karim with us, who is actually a Senior Vice President at the Fiqh Muamalat Malaysia Berhad, overseeing the Sharia and Product Development Division. She's also the former Chief Executive of Al-Bukhari Foundation and former Deputy Director of Asset Development at MUIS. She is listed at the top 20 most influential women in Islamic finance by Cambridge IFA. The Efficiency Medal, which was instituted in Singapore in 1969, was awarded to Dr. Shamsiah in 2001 in recognition for her exceptional efficiency or exceptional devotion to duty or for work of special significance. So before I go in, right, I actually forgot to start off by recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha for some blessings as well as help in understanding, for Allah to help us understand what we're going to seek knowledge for. So I think we can start off with the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha before we continue. Al-Fatiha. Yeah, apologies for that as well. Yeah, so today's lesson is actually going to be about Islamic social finance, which is going to be talking about Islamic social finance, specifically on wakaf, zakat, sadaqah, qard. So yeah, I'll just, without wasting any time, pass on the time to Dr. Shamsiah to take over from here to explain more about today's session. And without actually, I'll just repeat once again. We will actually have a Slido open, a Slido link with the link FMS4. So if you guys got any questions you guys need or are really dying for an answer for, then you can just post your questions over there. Towards the end of the session, maybe the last 20 to 30 minutes, you'll be Dr. Shamsiah will address these questions and hopefully clear our understanding on the topic. So without wasting further ado, time, I will just pass on to Dr. Shamsiah to share your screen.
Share my screen.
Yeah, you can share your screen.
Okay. Okay, can you see? You see my screen?
Can.
Can,
Yes,
okay.
can see.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, Rabbi syrahli wa yassirli amri wal uqdatal bil lisani yafqahu qawli. Thank you, SMU Muslim Society, brother. I didn't get your name.
I'm Wafiq. My name is Wafiq.
Wafiq, for moderating this session. Alhamdulillah, today we are going to basically understand a bit on Islamic social finance. Just a bit of background. I'm currently at this Progress Investment Holding, which actually in Singapore we are looking at also various areas on Islamic finance, giving advisory consultancy on will drafting, on financial advisory, Sharia financial advisory in particular. So okay, today what I will try to cover, I try to make it to half an hour. I was given like half an hour and then there will be a lot of questions, right?
And actually, sorry, Dr. Shamsiah, it's half an hour for questions and 1 hour for your sharing.
Oh, 1 hour for my sharing. So I'll be talking a lot. Oh, okay. I thought it's half an hour. So I have to rush into, the presentation. Okay, well, we'll start first. What is actually Islamic? Hold on, I'm just trying to. Okay, what is Islamic social finance? What is it? You have Islamic, you have social finance. This is something that I took from the United Nations Development Program. The term Islamic social finance refers to modes of finance that are rooted in Islamic ethics and intended for social benefit. So what are these? What are these tools that are used to achieve that social equality and so on? So this includes zakat, which is alms giving, wakaf, widely known as endowment, sadaqah, which is charity in general, as well as qard hasan, interest-free loans. And second, social finance is far more inclusive and widely adopted. So it is, I will touch also not just this particular, zakat, wakaf, qard hasan, and sadaqah, but there are other instruments, Islamic financial instrument that has been adopted to address these social issues in particular. So it's, in a nutshell, it's finance for social good. Okay. So if you look at the social finance medium that we're talking about, one is zakat. Zakat it is the third pillar of Islam. So this is obligatory for Muslims to pay their zakat. They have two types of zakat. One is zakatul fitri, which is zakat, a head tax, and the other one is zakat on your wealth. Okay, wealth can comes in many forms. So I will touch a bit on both zakat and wakaf a bit more deeper on what it is all about. And then I will touch on the other instruments as well. So in the realms of charity, you have sadaqah. Sadaqah is actually charity. So in charity, you have many types. You have the infaq. Infaq is usually used when you do like something that through your salary, and then you put aside, every month, say $10, you infaq for certain things. That is usually the way it's done. But it is also a form of sadaqah. And you have hibah. Hibah is a gift. Hibah is a gift. Is basically you give something. It's called hibah. Wakaf, which is a form of sadaqah also, but it is a continuous sadaqah, a continuous charity, which we call sadaqatul jariyah. And it is an endowment which is normally known in the conventional terms. But it has its sets of fiqh on wakaf itself. So it is different, a little bit different from the normal endowment that we understand. Qard hasan is actually a benevolent loan. Qard is, in Arabic, the term qard is actually loan, it's a loan. And hasan is something which is good, so it's a good loan. A good loan is a loan which does not, you don't have interest on it. So if I give you $10, you give me back $10 in return. Okay. So the next one, funding in Islamic society. I think I screen it, make it wider. So this is, like I mentioned, zakat is obligatory, which is in Islam, it is mandatory. This is a tax system actually. And there are many verses in the Quran which mention this. One of it is, which is in Surah At-Tawbah, which is very famous on that surah, which mentioned about the obligatory of zakat and the beneficiaries that you have to give. And then you have the sadaqah, you have the infaq, the wakaf, and the hibah. And all this is what we call it's under a baitul mal. A baitul mal is actually, bait is a house, mal is wealth. It is house of wealth. So in the Arabic terms, it's like the treasury. So during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have this institution. So currently, Baitul Mal is actually in the administration of Muslim Law Act under MUIS. There is an institution where we call it Baitul Mal. So all this any money or finances, it is put into this Muslim treasury, we call it. So these are all sunnah, which is not mandatory. And you have another terms where they call it khums. It is tax on the war spoils, but this is in Surah Al-Anfal. If you look it up, verse 41, it mentioned about the that you have to be taxed on the war spoils. But I'm just giving a different perspective of the Shia, where they mention this is a part of like a tax system for them, which is 10%. The war spoils was 10% is subjected to the war spoils, but the Shia they take it as 10% to be given to the for fisabilillah, for their religious religious leaders and so on. So sorry. Okay, the next one, who are the players in all this? Meaning, who actually make all this social finance, the players, the one who actually propagate and make things happen and make sure that the poor and needy are being taken care of. Of course, we have the government. At the highest level, we have the government as the authority who looks into all these social issues, right? In Singapore, it's the Singapore government, and then they have the ministry to look at it. And of course, in Singapore, if you look at, we have Majlis Agama Islam Singapura, or Islamic Religious Council of Singapore, which is the Islamic authorities who undertakes to see all these social things are being taken care of through the instruments that I mentioned, through zakat, through wakaf, and through all the sadaqah and so on and so forth. And we have also the NGOs. You have organization like Pergas Investment Holdings, who actually, Pergas, who actually does look into the social welfare of the areas that they are, in charge of, meaning the religious leaders, asatiza, and so on. But there are other NGOs that, like AMP, Mendaki, and so on, where they look at certain areas of the social benefits. So we have also Islamic banks who has come on board to also provide this social agenda. Islamic banks, especially in Malaysia, they have experience. Bank Islam, Bank Muamalat, and then we have the like of Afin Bank and so on. They have done a lot of this using these instruments to advance the social cause. And companies are also now a lot of companies are coming in and trying to do all this social work as well, especially for the non-Muslim. You have it. You have the like of many companies, GBS, or that, they have their social agenda. But the Islamic companies are also, they are using some of these tools to actually help out on the social agenda. And then you have individuals, you have philanthropies, all that. Okay, what are the financing mechanism? Just now I mentioned the zakat. So the word zakat occurs 30 times in the Quran, out of which 27 times is linked with prayer. So it is very, very linked to faith base, that Islam is, when you talk about waqimus salata wa atuz zakat, that means it is very linked to the salat and the zakat. So zakat is very linked to salat, which give the meaning of the one, it is very important in our religion that you have to give and help the poor and the needy. And sadaqah is mentioned 13 times in the Quran. Just to let you know that the word wakaf has no mention actually in the Quran except in a hadith. So, but it is a form of sadaqah. Just now I mentioned it is a form of sadaqah, but this is a continuous sadaqah, which is it is a different form. There is a one-time sadaqah, there is a continuous sadaqah. So wakaf belongs to that. And the common beneficiary, if you look at wakaf, when Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu an, when he created the wakaf, he gave to what he wants to give to the poor and needy, to the stranded. These are some of the common beneficiaries. If you look at, even the Quran mentioned about the the 8 asnaf on zakat. So the poor and needy, the stranded, the wayfarers, your next of kin, and the orphans. These are some of the common beneficiaries. If you look at the beneficiaries that is targeted. Okay, so I now come to zakat. Give a bit of background. What is zakat all about? It is obligatory. It's the third pillar of Islam. There's zakat on wealth, and just now I mentioned zakat fitrah, which is the head tax. Okay, what are the conditions of zakat? Basically, for zakat fitrah, which is the head tax, is based on 2.3 kilogram of rice. Currently, about $5 to $7 a person. So they do an average of the most commonly consumed rice in Singapore, and they will average it out and come up with, based on 2.3 kg of rice. Why 2.3 kg of rice? Why 2.3 kg of rice? Actually, zakat fitrah is based on, to feed the poor, a poor person for one day. So 2.3 is the rice is quite a lot, if you for a person to consume. But it is traditionally the staple food of the country. So in let's say in Saudi, they eat the dates kurma, or the dates. So actually dates are very expensive. If you look at ajwa, is about 1 kilo can cost about $70 to $80 actually. So I mean, for one day if you consume dates, it can come out to quite a sum. But 2.3 kg was when that time they used the flour actually to measure in a sack, which when we weigh it is about 2.3 kg. But anyway, it's also for students who wants to go into research on this. This is something that you can research on. Why 2.3 kg? Should we base on consumer price index instead? Should we base on Singapore consumer? What is the basket of goods actually we eat in terms of consumption? So that can be a new ijtihad. But I leave it to that. Zakat harta is based on the haul and nisab. Haul is actually the period of 1 year. 1 year in Hijrah is about you minus 10 or 11 days. So we have 365 days to minus 10 days is 355 days. In Malaysia, what they did is that instead of 2.5%, they have prorated it to be, based on 365 days. So it's actually 2.7 something. Because they prorate to 365 days using the Gregorian years instead of the Hijrah year. Okay, so the nisab is what is the minimum amount that you must have for you to be subjected to zakat. Currently it's about 86 grams of gold. The nisab now, I look at the MUIS website, is $7,444. Gold prices has come out, as you know. So if gold price comes up, it means that the nisab is higher, meaning that if you have only 6,000 in your bank account, or you have 6,000 savings, you are not subject to zakat. You are considered not eligible. So maybe categorized as poor. Students, maybe you all don't have such big savings. Anyway, these are the assets: zakat on gold, zakat on investment, zakat on savings, zakat on business. Of course, they have zakat on agricultural products and livestock, but commonly in Singapore, we are subject to all these zakat on gold, investment and savings and business. So a lot of financial instruments that we are in zakatable. So do you need to pay zakat on cryptocurrency? Yeah, this is questions that people ask. These are the so later I can answer some of them. Do you need to pay zakat on salary? In Singapore, for your info, is we are not subject to this. So zakat beneficiaries, who are they? Okay, is prescribed in the Quran, Surah At-Tawbah, verse 60. Zakat is for the poor and needy and amil, employed to administer the funds, for the mu'alaf, those who have embraced Islam, for those in bondage and in debt, those who strive in the cause of Allah, fi sabilillah, and for the wayfarer, which we call Ibn Sabil, ordained by Allah, and Allah is full of knowledge and wisdom. So this surah actually encompasses where the money should be distributed to. Okay, if you look at the that means screen, your screen will be on the left or the right. This side, my cursor here. So by right, if you divide by 8, so it will be 12.5% each, right? But on this side of the pie graph, this is how MUIS has actually distributed. So basically, a lot of the distribution is on fi sabilillah, and mostly even pergas, we do that. Fi sabilillah means it is in the cause of Allah. So any religious activities we can spend it on that particular asnaf. Of course, the lowest is Ibn Sabil, which is those who are stranded. So now with the COVID situation, maybe we can have more stranded people who can't actually go back to their home, and then they're stranded here. They don't have money and place to stay, so they are eligible under this particular zakat. Okay, just to let you know, how does Pegas distribute your zakat? This is monthly financial assistance to the poor and needy, Asatiza financial assistance, Madrasah student adoption scheme, educational financial assistance, and Asatiza development and training. Yeah, poverty is man-made. That's a statement. I forgot. It's by somebody who mentioned this. Because it is the system that has created such that if you look at the wealth in the world, it can actually eradicate poverty if it's distributed and channeled properly. So if you look at the amount of zakat, MUIS collects about 43 million in zakat. Other organizations probably around 10 million. I'm just guessing this 10 million. There's a few organizations in Singapore that has that collect zakat as well, and say 55 million zakat collected yearly in Singapore. I'm just giving some figures that I'm comfortable with. This is in MUIS website. 4,300 households being helped, about 13,000 individuals. Globally, that's about 500 to 600 billion of zakat collected a year. This is by Institute of Research, IRTI. It's the IDB, a research arm. And out of this collection, only 2.5% are institutionalized administration. Institutionalized means like you have an Islamic institution or NGOs that actually administer this collection. Whereas a lot of, if you look at it, zakat, it is being distributed on individual basis. They distribute the zakat on their own. So they say, okay, I know my neighbor is poor, I just give, I know this person are poor, then they give. So, and their research, FT research also, finds out that there is a lot of poverty is still a problem in many Muslim countries. Although we have this institution, although we have these tools, the poverty level is still very high. This is due to lack of effective empowerment program and system, both in terms of the collection and also the distribution. So effective zakat collection and distribution that is needed for poverty alleviation. Empowerment program. Of course, in Singapore, you will see that a high percentage of people who need long-term care. Sometimes they are in chronic illness, chronic cancer patient, kidney dialysis patient, or some are physically handicapped and so on. So these people needed help. Of course, we have in Singapore the religious madrasah, mosques, which needs also help because they are not under the so-called the government umbrella in terms of because the other social needs the government actually takes care in Singapore. So we are additional safety nets. So the system that we are currently in Singapore is actually additional safety net. Whereas in other country, maybe it is the safety net for them. So transparency through digitalization of zakat, you can see that a lot of crowdfunding platform has now been, created. We have the like of Global Sadaqah, you have like Launch Code. So these are the things that maybe can even alleviate some of the poverty issues facing the community. And a more coordinated system is needed because you see that many people are doing it, but it's not coordinated. So just now I mentioned about zakat in crowdfunding, global sedekah, zakat goes fintech. So if you look at their website, I just did a screenshot on this. They have some wakaf eligible and zakat eligible. So these are things that it is very transparent. You whatever you give for your zakat is given directly to the person who needs the particular money and so on. So these are the current trend that you can see. Okay, that's basically a little bit of zakat, just to give you a brief idea of what zakat is. Now I go into wakaf. Wakaf. Okay, what is wakaf? I mean, a lot of people has been, talking about wakaf and so on. The similarity or the conventional similarity is the endowment that we know of. So the word waqf is actually detention. If you go to Saudi, you go to Dubai, you will see waqf. That is a parking lot because the car doesn't move. It's a stop. So waqf area. So that's parking actually. So it is to, in Arabic, to prevent, to restrain, prohibition. Meaning the capital you cannot make it to to destroy its value. Sorry, I think. The plural is called awqaf, and then in Turkey there's so many terms being used. Bakif, and then habs is used in Morocco. The Malikis use this. Boniyat used in Iran. And for the Malays, we call wakaf. In Indonesia, they call wakaf. Okay. So some people say, what's the origin? It's Kaaba is the oldest form of wakaf. Yeah, maybe mosque in Medina, Bani Najjar dedicated the land to the Prophet. For the mosque in Medina, the land was paid by Abu Bakr for 10 dinar. So this is some of the example. The mosque of Quba, Al Masjid An-Nabawi, the Shield of Dawood, some say, but some say the first family wakaf by Abu Talha, Al-Imran versus Surah Al-Imran was revealed to him. He dedicated his garden in Bayhuha opposite the Masjid An-Nabawi and dedicated it to his relative. So, but the history and the hadith that we are using for the wakaf is actually can be traced back to the tradition of the second Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu, who dedicated a piece of land in Khaybar named Islam, came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you wish to retain the real and devote its usufruct to pious purposes, Sayyidina Umar accordingly dedicated the property on condition it should not be sold. So this is very important. That's the basis of wakaf. Should not be sold nor made the subject of a gift or inheritance. So when you wakaf something, they say you cannot sell it because then it is gone. It becomes like a normal sadaqah. What you have to do is to retain the capital and only the fruits for this particular place. this Kaaba, Sayyidina Umar planted a lot of dates, palm dates, which is very important because it's a staple also. And he gave away those dates to all the poor and needy, to the stranded, and so on. So his beneficiaries are the poor and needy, the stranded, in the name of Allah. So Quran has no explicit mention of the wakaf, and wakaf is traced to the hadith Sayyidina Umar. And also it is a charity where you have, just now I mentioned the word charity is mentioned many times, sadaqah many times in the Quran, and one of it is Surah Al-Imran, where by no means shall you attain piety and you spend what you love. So it is actually is an ijtihadi law. It's a lot of ijtihad going into wakaf actually, the fatwas and so on. So this is another, so in Surah Al-Baqarah, all the, but this is one of the things that usually we, when we reflect on wakaf, the tradition of the Prophet, this is a very familiar hadith, very popular hadith. When a man dies, his acts come to an end. So when, pass away, all whatever you do comes to an end. But there's only three things that will, give you that investment in the akhirah. So these three things are recurring charity, sadaqah jariyah, wakaf, knowledge by which people benefit. So if you have ilmu and then, the YouTube, if I pass on and this YouTube gets, passed on to the next generation, inshallah, the knowledge is passed on. And then third is the pious son who prays for him. So the prayers of the pious son and daughter, pious children, because in Arabic it's always the masculine gender that is, but it's actually the children's prayers. Okay, so sadaqah jariyah. So this is very important. And never will you attain the good until you spend in the, this is Surah Al-Imran, verse 92. And whatever you spend, indeed Allah is knowing of it. So whatever you love, you give it. So when Sayyidina Umar gave the land, the dates land, it is the best plantation that he has. He doesn't give the worst one. If you have the best, for the ladies, you love, let's say, the brand Prada, so you give your best brand instead, or you give, say, Bonia or what, a cheaper brand. So they give the best as a charity. Another verse, on charity. So this you can just reflect Surah Al-Baqarah. There's a lot of Surah Al-Baqarah which mention about giving to charity. So what are the concepts and pillars of wakaf? You must pronounce that you want to give as a wakaf. Mawquf is actually the capital. Then you have the nazir or the mutawali. You have the usufruct, which is the income. Usufruct is the income from the capital. And mawquf alayh is the beneficiary. Okay, this is and I just gave you some economic significance of wakaf. About in 1923, 3/4 of the arable land in Turkey actually belonged to wakaf. So you see a lot of wakaf in Turkey. I mean, they have so many mosques. They have so many mosques in Turkey, and most of the buildings there are in a form of wakf. So in Egypt, also 1/8 of the cultivated soil in Egypt is wakf. So agricultural land, you have even Caliph Rashid, the name Caliph Rashid, the wife Zubaida actually created the road from Baghdad all the way to Mecca for people to perform their Hajj. So she wakaf the particular area. And for your info, actually in Singapore, because of the spice route and the history where, you know, a lot of the Arabs from Yemen who came and landed in Singapore, they created a lot of surau, they created a lot of masjid, and they created a lot of waqf. And Muiz used to be the largest landowner after the government. Almost half of the land is actually waqf. And you can see, yeah, there's so many waqaf, and maybe if you look around, there's actually now there's about 72 mosques. And if you look at Masjid Sultan, if you are familiar with in front of Masjid Sultan, the Zamzam Murtabak, very famous, just beside it, the victory, and the whole stretch, it's all waqaf. And there's so many waqaf behind. A lot of the shop houses are actually waqaf. So the rental goes, some of the rental goes to the mosque, the Sultan Mosque. So that's how it is being financed through the economic means of you know, the capital, and then we get rental. The rental, the income will go to the mosque. In Pergas itself, we have an endowment fund. It is not entirely a wakaf, but it is a form of a way of a wakaf. So we have this particular fund. So this is, sorry. We bought recently the property, Paradise at Pergas, which is also giving rental. So just to look at how the wakaf model or the endowment model actually, you know, looks like. So donors give their contribution, and then we will try to collect as an endowment fund, and then the capital will then be invested in property, in share equity, in business venture, in fixed deposit, and so on. And then you have the trustee, which is just now, if you look at the conditions of wakaf, you must have the administrator, the mutawali, and so on, to administer and distribute the funds to the beneficiary. And then you must have the beneficiary, which is utilized for scholarship, for curriculum development of the asatiza, and so on. So whoever the donors give, they will get the reward in terms of the good deeds that they give. And inshallah, because the institution, whatever income, it will be in, you know, in long term, as compared to a normal sadaqah where you just give it. And you see also the trend on wakaf crowdfunding platform. Global Sadaqah has this, it's a fintech form. So you have one of these, sorry, here. They have wakaf eligible, so they create, like, you know, what is this? They're creating, yes, the well to give, you know, water to the particular community. So you have cross boundaries already, not only subject to the country's wakaf, you know, regulation and regulation, and also the law on wakaf, which is under the Administration of Muslim Law Act. In Malaysia also is very heavily regulated, because the Islamic Religious Council actually regulate matters on wakaf. But this kind of trend are emerging, where they use crowdfunding, and you can just, you know, public can just put your money there, and they will create a wakaf in Nigeria, in Cambodia, in whatever places, to alleviate all this poverty and so on, which is a very good, you know, progress in this area. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit on Islamic banks and intermediaries, and how they use, you know, Islamic instruments like this for Islamic social finance as well. So in the banking and financial intermediaries sector, they use also zakat to help asnaf. So for example, in Singapore, there isn't any, but I'm referring to, like, in Malaysia, for example, the Islamic bank actually has to pay zakat. It is considered mandatory for them to pay zakat. And from the zakat fund, actually, they can do their own disbursement. So they use part of this zakat fund to help the asnaf. So in the banking fraternity, they have this instrument to also show, they are helping the community in that sense, as a bank. And also they have, it's very unique, they have IBIM, a body where all the Islamic banks under this particular body, IBIM, Angkatan Association of Islamic Bank Malaysia. Yeah. And they have a wakaf projects where they ask public to donate, or the banks itself provide some donation towards this cause. And in the bank, they have this called Maslahah Fund. So those unlawful Islamic sources, what they do is they have to do charity for it. They have to give it as a charity to give out. Okay. Then they have their own CSR fund, where the bank own funds allocated for social cause. This is also available in many conventional banks. They do CSR and so on. They have their, CSR and to show that that's part of their social cost for normal bank as well. So they use their funds to allocate for social costs. And then they have interesting also Court Hassan, a financing social project using loan without charges. So I was involved in one of the Court Hassan loan, where the bank actually give a project of about a few millions to an NGO who wanted to build a religious institution. So the bank actually gave the loans for them to, because it will take some time for them to raise fund. So when the fund is raised, they will pay back. So it is a flexible term, the loan term, and also there is no interest charges at all. There's no charges, and these are some of the areas that the bank has, help out in terms of helping this for social causes and so on. So it's Islamic Bank has, I've seen a lot play a part in helping these areas, social finance. And they also have microfinance. I was in the committee of the bank on zakat fund. So we do put aside some fund, not just zakat, but other funds for microfinance for the poor and needy. So we put aside, let's say, for them to buy an oven, for them to start a small stall. This is not just SMEs, but these are really, really very small microfinance. But there are also microfinance facilities that the bank provided, which have some costs, which are chargeable. That means that there are profit being charged. But again, the banks, especially Islamic Bank, they have some allocation to put aside for things that, if you are really in need, there will be a special fund to actually help this group of people. So the bank has played a lot of part actually. When I'm involved, I see that it is not just, and in the spirit of Islamic social finance, a lot of companies, I think, a lot of financial institutions, they are moving towards this to ensure that, a lot of people are being helped. So, and this, if you look at, they are going into all this technology like Fitra Online, e-Zakat, to help out the not just the beneficiary, but also the donors, to facilitate them to pay zakat. So it is facilitating the institution. The banks are doing that, to pay zakat from their investment, their savings account, and so on. So if you look at, just now I mentioned IB, my wakaf, so they pull together all the banks, the Islamic banks, and then they created this, portal and platform for them to actually pay their zakat and help in many projects inside this particular. Oops, sorry. Hold on. Where's the? Okay, sorry. So, and then if you look at the one on the left side here, my cursor here, they have this SJKP. SJKP is a loan it is together with the government creating to ensure that those who are the low income is able to have a house. So it is a financing scheme which facilitate the ownership of homes for the poor. So these are the financial intermediaries where you see that they are helping the low income and the vulnerable, and it is said that a lot more they are asked that, especially Islamic Bank, they are required to do more of this, but at the end of the day they also have to make profit. So these are the balance that they are doing, but I'm seeing a very good trend of the Islamic banks going into all this. And they have, like Bank Islam, they have Sadaqah House to actually help this area. And then this is CIMB, I think so, CIMB, CEO of CIMB Banking. So they are into promoting, serving local communities and promoting inclusion. So in Islamic Bank, also one of the areas is that we must achieve the maqasid al-Shariah, meaning the objective of the Sharia. So what is financial institutions use? What is their role in this particular areas for social finance and so on? What is their role in financing the needs of the society? So it is not just for the sake of making profit, but it is also to achieve that objective. So you are helping the businesses because you are a financing company intermediaries, and you are also helping the community in that sense. So it has to balance, and whatever you do, it has to have that Sharia objective as a whole. So I think they are moving into this. There are also many areas where they are asked now to measure the impact. So they have like ESG, environmental, and then we have the SDG, social development goals. And one of it for Islamic banks and so on is the maqasid al-Sharia, the impact on, whether it has impacted all the Islamic goals that we need as a financing institution. So I think I'm done with that. So inshallah we can have more discussion. Yeah, thank you. Assalamualaikum.